What's up, everybody, and welcome into the show tonight. As you come in, please drop the likes, please share the stream. We are live, we are active. You all know what you tuned into, Bama football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. Tonight's Monday night quarterback with the coaches. This edition of this episode is brought to you by yours truly, Coach Smook and Coach Jay. We will not be joined by Coach Son. Him and his daughter are out doing family things and supporting. He's supporting his daughter, and she's pursuing, being a cheerleader and doing big things, man. I guess their teams are deep into, early into their basketball season with a lot of big games, and it's been looking entertaining based off the clips he's been sending us. So, shouts out to him and him doing his fatherly duties and being there for his daughter, but still showing his love and support by sending us his well wishes and stuff. So we definitely gonna miss him tonight. But Coach Jay, you're here. How you feeling, bro?
Oh yeah. I have no idea how to feel. I got killed by one Jalen, and of course the other Jalen made some big plays. So I don't know how to feel, but gotta move on to the big one, the atomic bomb of the college football world, the two mammoths going against each other, man. So I'm excited.
Right, man. I think me and you are kind of on the same page when it comes to this game. My approach to this game is no different than any other game, man. But you can't deny the hype behind this game. You can't deny the meaning behind this game. And we're going to dive into that tonight. But like I said, as you all come in, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're sharing the stream. Make sure you're commenting, letting us know where you're watching from. We love to interact with the chat, as you all know, if you've been here for a while. If you haven't been here for a while, welcome to the channel. I'm going to exit out my camera real quick. But as I do that, real quick, Coach Jay, give the people your final reactions. Let's give people our final reactions of this past Saturday's win over Auburn, which was probably another, not probably, but definitely is going to go down as probably one of the top 5 in Iron Bowl history as far as finishes. So yeah, give your final reactions, bro.
This is one of the greatest. It was definitely one of the greatest Iron Bowls of all time, probably the second greatest Iron Bowl of all time. And it's kind of ironic that game happened on the 10-year anniversary of the kick six, which, by the way, as soon as that game was over, what did they show? The kick six. So unfortunately, no matter what we do, we can beat Auburn 5 times on a last-second game winner, and it just wouldn't matter. They'll still show kick six. But no, man, it was just like how I kind of talked about on Saturday. It was a satisfying win as far as making Auburn fans cry and making them feel like literally having all their hopes up, and then all of a sudden it just come crashing down. But from a execution standpoint, and just from overall from how we've played and how we've progressed since Texas, this was just one of those games where, you wanted to see this team get better. You wanted to see this defense be in control. You wanted to see Kevin Steele, honestly, continue the consistent play calling he's been doing. But just a lot of uncharacteristic things, a lot of weird things happened. And just overall, I think we kind of took a step backwards overall as a team. I'm not going to say offensively we did, because Jalen Milroe played, I thought, really, really well. But for the most part, I just thought from a team standpoint, did not play the best game. We didn't bring our A game, but we found a way to win at the end of the day. That's what good teams do. And now we got to look forward to the juggernaut, which is Georgia.
For sure, man. Final reaction from me, man. I'm gonna kind of coincide with a lot of the statements you made, man. I don't think this made the team take a step back mentality wise. I think this team knows we missed out on a lot of opportunities against Auburn. I think this team understands the magnitude of which that game was, which is why we ended up pulling it out at the end. People could say it's luck of the draw, but there's been games against Auburn where we've not recovered fumbles, that should have been recovered. We've not caught interceptions that should have been caught. They've done Hail Marys and, late in the first half, and it produced points. Guys should have had, picks and this thing and that. It was just certain things that kept happening throughout that game that, kind of forced me to be in belief mode outside of just being a fan. But these guys really did not ever give up. And that was one thing I was excited to see about this team. Even throughout this season, man, the Texas game, they didn't quit. It just never stacked up for them. And we highlighted something in that Texas game that this team has been able to do progressively better throughout the season, and that's to take advantage of opportunities when they're there. We called out the opportunities. It would be times you would be like, man, the defense only going to give us 3 more opportunities. This game, the offense didn't waste every opportunity. And we all know Jordan Hare Iron Bowl is different from Tuscaloosa being in T-Town Iron Bowl. So to say that they underachieved, I'm not going to say anybody saying that they're underachieved. I think we didn't play to the standard or to the level that we expected. But the outcome was still the same. And that I think overall the outcome was to win. Coming into this game, Auburn's going to give you their best shot. You're going to get Auburn's best game. So, am I proud of the way we won? Yes, I am. I'm glad we were resilient. I'm glad we didn't quit when big plays happen. You saw the next play mentality throughout the whole game. No, it wasn't pretty. No, it wasn't clean, but it was a win. Am I happy? No, because I definitely wanted a cleaner showing. But end of the day, we got it done. It was a team effort, staff included. But we're going to dive into more going forward, looking at the Auburn game. I mean, the Georgia game. Reaction to key plays, though, man, from this Iron Bowl. A lot of people, Gravedigger is going to be one that's going to be echoed throughout the state of Alabama, throughout the college football world for years to come. But what other plays really stood out to you, whether it was on the offense or the defensive side, that you felt like really kept this team believing, not just because of because of how close the game was, but because of the result or the way the play was made? If you could kind of go back and kind of decipher one.
Oh, I thought Auburn's defensive play calling was pathetic. I mean, the fact that they rushed 2 people and had a spy on Jalen Milroe was absolutely. I mean, like I said, it greatly benefited us. But even before that play happened, I'm like, if we somehow some way score a touchdown on that play, it's just, and even the play before that, I mean, they're just rushing 2 and rushing. They're just rushing 2, no spy before that, and then the other play you do it again. Like I don't know, man. Like this is why we always say, guys, bad teams find ways to lose. They find ways to lose. This was a game, and I said this before, I thought Auburn, for that game, they were better. I thought Auburn was the better team. They outplayed us. And for the most part, that final drive was just a testament to just how bad Auburn is. And that's why they're 6-6. Their record indicates exactly who they are, who they truly are, and that's who they are. So, for the most part, I can't even really say that we did, again, we did some obviously we did some good things. Obviously that final drive was, because even going into there, like we were at the 7, and then Seth McLaughlin, for the most part, snaps the ball early, even though an Auburn defender was the safety that came up. If you go back and watch it, clapped his hand, and Seth McLaughlin thought that was Jalen Milroe that did it, and so he snapped it a little bit too early. That should have been a flag. But again, we'll talk about the garbage officiating that it wasn't during that game. But no, I mean, the fact that Auburn had a clear-cut opportunity to win that game, and they send only 2 people. One was a spy, and the other one was out without a spy. Like I'm rushing 4 dudes. I'm trying to make Jalen Milroe scramble.
Get rid of the ball. We trying to speed this play up. That's what I was in fear of. And that play, since you're on it, man, I was in fear of them going ahead and sending pressure, and Milroe not really just running. He only ran once, really, for real, that whole game, where he really just pushed himself to create yards with his legs. And when he did, he basically ran the dude over. You remember he had the guy knocked out the game. I forget the kid's name from Auburn, but I mean, that I think, and to Coach Sean's point, I think a run like that in the first half would have changed the whole momentum of the game and set us up for more success. Because that defense did get comfortable. And it wasn't because of Tommy Reese's play calling. A lot of it was indecisiveness and Jalen Milroe trying to extend plays to create plays downfield with his arm, which is something that we just got to get used to seeing that, guys. The fact that he's growing and becoming comfortable with this offensive line is a good thing, because you want him to have the confidence to be able to extend plays against UGA. That's a good problem to have, and only 1 sack this last game. And it was, I think it came off of the bad snap is what they called the sack, right? When he had to go down. Oh, Jaden Roberts slip up. Yeah, I remember.
Yep, Jaden Roberts slipped up. He didn't slip there. That's not a sack. He just lost his footing, and then boom. Was able to get the swim, got into the backfield, got the sack.
So overall, man, if I had to highlight one play though, man, I'm gonna go back to the play when they broke the run where it looks like nobody filled the right gap. But if you go back and you watch this play, man, Caleb Downs, the same way he's been making plays off the edge all seasons in run support. If you go watch that play, he is held horribly. And he's reaching as the guy's breaking through the hole as he's getting through the line of scrimmage. And Jalen Key was on the tackle. Jalen Key was on the tackle, being the support safety. But you look at Trez Marshall. Trez Marshall is diving at Jalen Key's legs. I mean, and a lot of people were blaming,
oh man,
these people ain't doing it. But there was a lot of missed calls. I can't highlight one play. I could just highlight so many missed calls by these referees. That's what I want to highlight. That's the plays. All the plays where missed calls, the missed pass interference on Isaiah Bonds when he ran the comeback route. Him and Burton had the 2-man combo route on the goal line, and Burton slipped up on the first initial read, and everybody's like, why he didn't throw it to Burton? Well, he slipped. Oh, Jalen lets that ball go, and it might be a pick because the DB is standing there beat. And if you look at the path of travel where the ball would have been if he let the ball go where Burton should have been at, if Burton's standing up, it's a touchdown. But the fact that he slipped, that might be a pick 6, man. Nobody was in front of him but Jalen. And then so he checks it off. He goes to the second read with Bonds. Good pass, puts it to the front pylon. That DB is holding Bonds the whole ride, all the way from the back of the end zone to his cutback towards the front pylon. So it was just horrible officiating. And I just got to give my hats off. I got to give a hats off to those players for playing through that type of adversity, because it's been recent years, where that has been the game-breaking thing. We've seen our players allow the refs to get them out of character and just not be effective. A lot of the ref to dictate their intensity, to dictate their focus. And this year, this team, they've shown a level of resilience we have not seen from Alabama Nick Saban coach team in probably like 6 or 7 years. Honestly, like where they've been challenged and they've had to show resiliency throughout multiple games of the season. This team has definitely taken a real I've taken a real liking to this group of guys. But moving forward, y'all, you all showed up here. Everybody's already had their fun enjoying the beatdown, not the beatdown, but the win over Auburn. Watching those fans cry. I think that's probably the most satisfying thing from it, man. Seeing all the videos come out. Oh my God!
And then towards the end, when they have to do the little tradition and they have to stand there for the song, they all just standing there waving, crying. I'm like, oh man,
bro. I had this little evil grin every time I was looking at my phone today. It'd be like I'd be sitting. I'm a substitute teacher now, and I'll be sitting there in the classroom. We had a lot of movies going on today, so I'm watching clips of Auburn fans crying and stuff. And I could just, if I had a picture of myself, I just see myself like. Like just laughing because it just felt so good to come out of there with the victory, man. Jordan-Hare is a horrible place to play. And to come out with a victory like we did, awesome. But let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into it. This Alabama versus UGA game. This is the topic of the season. I know we preach, don't get ahead of ourselves. Don't look forward. Don't count your eggs before they hatch, or whatever the sayings are. But this is one that I know for a fact I've been waiting for. And many other Bama fans that I talk to that follow the team really watch football, they know when you get these two teams at pretty much full strength, experience on the field, you're not coming in with no backup quarterback, none of that stuff is a factor in this game. Everybody's pretty much fully fit and ready to match up in this game. What does this game mean, Coach Jay?
It means a lot. Well, first of all, this is our season. We lose this game, we're out of the college football playoffs. We lose this game, we lose the SEC championship game. We lose this game, I think, from just an overall, I'm not going to say respect standpoint, but it just seems like two alpha males battling it out in the jungle. And it just seems like just for overall supremacy of college football, like it's like a lot more is in stake with this game. Like this is, I've always kind of said this, man, like this is the closest thing you're ever going to get to a national championship game. There are playoff games that don't have the feeling like this game does, this and competing for an SEC championship game. I mean, we've had at least 3 separate occasions where an SEC championship game, I mean, this was the determining factor of who was going to be the national champion. You knew whoever was going to win that game was going to win the national title. 2012, the last game in the Georgia Dome, that's the most famous one out of all. You knew that whoever won that game won the national title, because Notre Dame was a joke. But it's gonna be a heck of a game. I can't wait to see it. I know a lot of people are kind of doubting us. I know Vegas, we started off as 4.5, like minus, like Georgia was -4. Now I think they're -6.5 favorite. That line can continue to grow bigger. But I'm telling you, man, just like how Alabama played, they didn't play the best against Auburn. Georgia didn't play the best against Georgia Tech. Both teams are going to go into that game with a different mindset, different mentality. You're going to see a lot of wrinkles that I think either team has never even showed before. And man, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a lot of fireworks, and it's going to be a lot of back and forth, punching each other in the mouth. This fight is going to be a lot better than David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade. I can tell you that.
I tell you that, boy, because I'm glad I ain't. You know what I'm saying? I ain't wasting no money on. But hey, before I get into my take, guys, I just want to remember to shout everybody out, man. We got some members in here. We got our guy William, who's a member. He says, "Roll motherfucking Tide." Already Justin Sumler in the building. What's good, brother? Roll Tide, man. Lank in the building. We got Henry Campbell repping from Montgomery, Alabama. Gumptown in the house, baby. Hey, I got family all over that mug. If you know some Heinzes, some Gillis, some Jacksons, some Rams.
Shout out to James Richards. Shout out to James Richards, man. We gotta have our Georgia fans.
That's our Georgia fan, man. He's a closet Bama fan. I'm not gonna lie. My boy James Richards is but I think James is one of those Georgia fans that loves watching good football, man. I look at his comments and what he says about his team. It's never no things of like, man, he's gonna kill this person, killing this dude, or this dude better than this dude. It's like really talking football and matchup. So we appreciate you, James. Get some more of you guys in here. Donna B in the chat. Roll Tide. Mary Sanders is in the chat from Abbeville, Alabama. Roll Tide. Hey, Mary.
Duke, you got Sioux Falls.
Man, we got a lot of folks here tonight. King Jack in the building. Duke to go in the building. Who else, man? I'm just looking for all the Jarvis in the building. What's up, Jarvis? You back, man? Jarvis was out in Milroe a couple weeks ago, man. It's all good though. It happens. Al Sanders, you one of the long time guys. And guys, I really appreciate you all showing up once again. Mamba in the building, talking about James being in the building. You got to put some respect on James' name. I think he's like our honorary Georgia fan that comes in here. We get to get him in here. But Roll Tide to everybody, man. Everybody that's watching. We got people in Texas. We got people overseas. I got family members that's in South Korea watching right now. Shouts out to
Fort Drum, New York.
Fort Drum, everybody. Montgomery, Alabama. Phoenix City, Alabama. Columbus, Georgia. Everybody jumping in, man. We appreciate y'all. But what does this game mean? Coach Jay covered the side of it that's talking about the college football side. For the fans, what does this game mean for the fans? This is a year and a half of dang, man. If only we had not lost Jamison Williams and John Mechie. That's all we've had to live with for the past almost 2 years now, right? It's been 2 years. We could say
it's been almost 2 years. Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Last time we beat them, last time they lost the game was against us in Mercedes-Benz Dome. But for fans, that's all next man up, this, that, and the third. Well, thankfully, we coming into this game full health. This game, there won't be an opportunity for us to see y'all again if we win. And y'all will not be able to benefit from any of that extra stuff. And that's just the fan in me talking. I'm not talking X's and O's. I'm talking about what this means to me as a fan. Playing against the best team in the nation, I believe, is the best team, probably the most complete team in the nation. And to come out of this game with a victory, with the type of growth that our team has been able to display, and the type of progression we've seen from Caden Proctor, Jalen Milroe, Caleb Downs, Terrion Arnold, Jahai Campbell, Tim Keenan, Justin Aboybe returning back to strength, Jaden Roberts. I mean, Tyler Booker has just continued to grow. The running back room, each running back just continue to find that groove, man. The wide receiver room, we're starting to see them make big plays. Malik Benson waking up the last 3 games of the season. And people have forgotten about him. So as a fan, I think this team is so poised and ready that as a fan, I feel it just as much as they feel it. I feel it. I think I want it just as much, if not more, than they want it. And so this game means a lot. And like you said, Coach Jay, to us, if we can go in here and handle business, not to be put slight on any other team in the college football playoff, but based off the film, this is the best team on film for us to face. This team is better than the Texas team we faced. This team is better than the Tennessee team, the LSU team. This is the most complete team we will see this season. And to see them in the SEC championship game again and to have our chance to get back since the last time we saw them, it means a lot. It means a lot. Shout out to Duke to Go 2020 with the $2 super chat. This game is about getting respect back on the brand. I don't think Alabama ever lost respect on the brand. I think people are so ready and so hype about Nick Saban not winning a national championship that they forget he's been there for, 16 years now? And he doesn't have 16 national titles. And so, that's why I don't get caught up in that Bama is gone and all this stuff. Until Saban leaves, Bama is still going to be Bama, the Bama of Saban. And I'm a firm believer in that. Coach Jay.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this game means a lot. Go ahead, bro.
No, I would just say that, I mean, for the most part, I mean, what have Coach Sean been saying about, man? Like, a lot of people were disrespecting Alabama in the offseason. Again, we weren't the favorites to win the West. LSU was. A lot of people thought that we were not going to be the same program. Again, Paul Feinbaum, who continues to just switch up on the SEC and switch up on Alabama for the most part, can't choose what he wants to do. Said that, Alabama was just, dead in the water. Jalen Milroe was not going to progress as a quarterback. We lost the respect and transfer portal, and Colorado was better. It was just a lot of weird things going on that people kept talking about. But I think at the end of the day, people started to realize that, man, we have Coach Saban, and as long as we have Coach Saban here, and as long as we continue to bring in the recruiting classes that we do, that for the most part, we're going to continue to be a good football team and be a good overall, really good football program. So, this game is all it's. I would say that it is about respect in a way, because I would think even now people are doubting us. I mean, like I said, we're not the favorite to winning this game. Georgia could be a -8. They could potentially be a -8 instead of being like a 6.5 or 7. 8.5. Like that's like so it's I think it is a little bit about respect. But I think just for overall national recognition, and we overall need to put fear in the teams. I don't think a lot of teams fear us like they used to. I think that if there's any game that I think a lot of people say, what, Alabama is they're meant to be feared. I think that this is the game to make a statement and to pretty much show the college football world that we should be feared, and we should definitely get our respect back.
For sure, man. Hey, shout out to Jimmy Clay, man. He said smooth with the $10 super chat, man. What's up, Jimmy? Man, this game is more than what people are giving it credit for, and mainstream media can't even deny the fact that this might be the national championship, so diving into it, guys. Let's dive into it now. Let's get into it. Being that this is the Bama show, tonight's show, we're going to really talk about how Bama finds success or does not find success, how Georgia can, give us problems. So starting it off, how does Alabama defeat number 1 UGA? If I had to go right off top, let's jump on the defensive side. How does our defense hold up and be solid and create opportunities for turnovers and takeaways or create stops, getting off the field on third down? I think this is probably the game where our discipline is not as stressed because of the style of offense that UGA runs, but UGA gives keys with their play calling and how they're feeling. If we could get disruptive in their run game, something that we did not do against Auburn, if we get disruptive in their run game, and I mean literally putting them in third and passing for sure, that's the only way we're going to have some type of success, because then you can start running your combo blitzes. We're not going to be able to, cover for 4 seconds against this team and the way they scheme up the passing game, the type of weapons that they have at the receiving core. A lot of people talk about Brock Bowers, but they second string tight end is just as good as Brock Bowers in my eyes. He just doesn't have all the catches and all the hype and glitz and glamour. He hasn't had the early snaps like Brock. I mean, the kid is solid. And could definitely be tight end 1 on any other team in the SEC, at Alabama included. He can really come in and be next to Marnie Black in our 12-man set, and CJ Dupree would be coming behind their second guy. So something that Georgia has been able to do over the few years is use their tight ends. And I think sending pressure is going to be able to disrupt that. That's after you stop the running game. That's my initial take on how we do it on the defensive side. Initial take, how you think we do it on the offensive side. How do we find success offensively moving forward against Georgia and what they've been presenting with their defense? How do we find success offensively?
Man, we got to be this is going to be one of those games where I think that, again, normally I like to say we have to dominate up front, and that is true. We have to beat them up front. We have to find some ways to try to create a little bit more of a balanced look, but this is going to be a game where Jalen Milroe is going to have to win with his arm. And like you said before last week, one of the things that Jalen Milroe did was that he tried to sit back in the pocket. Instead of taking off, he would try to sit back, and he wasn't just sitting back staring down one receiver. What I liked what he did was that he was just going through his progressions. Exactly. He was like, boom, 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 just going through his progressions, keep staying it down the field. And yes, like for the most part, he's not going to have 5, 6, 7 seconds in the pocket. Like I don't think we're giving like Alabama's offensive line enough credit for how well they really blocked that defensive line. They gave him a lot of time to go and scan the football field and go through his progressions quickly. Well, that could carry over. That's one of the things that could carry over, that he can go through his progressions a lot more quickly, because Georgia, they're a different animal as far as speed and athleticism. They match up just as well as us. They have linebackers. Again, you lose Dumas Johnson. They have a true freshman in C.J. Allen that's probably the fastest linebacker on that team, that I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just have him spy Jalen Milroe. So this is one of those games where I think that the culmination of both his arms and his legs, the skill set, everything that he had to try to work on to become the quarterback that he is right now, I think that all has to accumulate itself in this game. Because if we go back and we get Texas version of Jalen Milroe, where he's panicking, living in the pocket, they're gonna bring pressure. Their front 4 or 5 alone, I don't think it's as good as it was in 2021. I think our offensive line is actually better than it was in 2021. But that's one of those defenses that schematically they know how to create pressure.
Yeah,
they know how to create pressure from the second level. They can create like the third level by bringing those safeties up, like Bullard and Michael Williams. Those guys are excellent coming off the edge or can come up through the middle. Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann know how to scheme these guys, in order for them to create plays. So it's just all about how Jalen Milroe is, how calm he can be in the pocket, and just overall wise, keeping up the progression that he has done the last 2 to 3 weeks. And I think if we can do that, I think we can be just fine.
Yeah, and one thing I want to highlight, man, we're sitting here talking about our offense and how we could find success. Georgia's secondary has not been pressured, and in games where they was pressured with the deep ball, with teams that attempted more than 21 passes, they played late into those games. Not struggle. We're not gonna sit there and say they struggle, but they played late into those games. Team I want to highlight, Missouri. Missouri found a lot of success being balanced with the perimeter run, but their offense was really eating Georgia up when they were going off of the play action pass, the extended run game, meaning quick screen game. I've seen a lot of things in Georgia's secondary that's very uncharacteristic from what I've seen in recent years with their 2 national championship teams. Last year, I felt like they weren't challenged during the season, but because their front 7 was so good, they had time to grow. Their front 7 is not as good as last year, but their front 7 has not been challenged with a offensive front that can push them around at times. Auburn gave them the best push, just like they did against us. And not to throw shade or anything, but a lot of Georgia fans were talking about, y'all struggle like this to stop Auburn's run game. I don't think y'all remember the game y'all had against Auburn when their quarterback didn't have near as many snaps as he had coming into this game against Alabama. They were not any type of identity. They weren't established at all, but they still had the similar success. The stats were virtually similar when it came to the type of numbers that Auburn's offense was able to put up against Georgia's defense and our defense, especially from the quarterback, Peyton Thorne. He hit 3 or 4 good passes against Georgia, did the same against us. I think their discipline, though, Georgia's defensive discipline is something that Tommy Rees is going to have to really test. Their eye discipline, their aggressiveness, being able to gauge their aggressiveness. And that doesn't come naturally. That takes time. Tommy Rees is a 3rd-year play caller, 1st year under Saban. We've seen him hit his highs. We've seen him be mid, and we've seen him at his lowest. If Tommy Rees could stay on a high note, we're going to need him to stay on a high note for this game, because you don't give Carson Beck and that offense 4 extra possessions in the game and they expect to win by 3. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You don't come away with 2 extra possessions. You don't come away with 0 points on 2 extra possessions that your defense just won you in Alabama and come away with 0 points and expect to beat a team like Georgia, because they are built to give their team extra possessions, and they're going to get 3. Kirby Smart's not going to allow Mike Bobo to put Carson Beck on a drive that's important, put him in shotgun on 3rd and 2. You know, he's going to be physical, establish physicality, something that Alabama and Tommy Rees were doing leading up to this Auburn game, and ended up having to do that to put us in position to score. You know, before the bad snap and before the play by Milroe trying to create, being over the line, doing all that. So, yeah, I think overall, man, the matchup hasn't been more even across the board. We talk about issues that we have, issues that Georgia have, that they've kind of grown through and worked through. It kind of matches up, and these teams are really almost a mirror image of each other. Your only difference probably being the athleticism at the quarterback position, if I had to make that type of evaluation. So initially, how does Alabama defeat number 1 Georgia? Offensively, like you said, stay ahead of schedule, stay on schedule, not stay ahead of schedule, but stay on schedule. And defensively, I think we have to stay disciplined. This is a game where Mike Bobo will add some wrinkles just to test the eyes. You know, I know he saw, just like we saw, the inside linebacker eye discipline is not there. It's not where you want it to be, especially when supporting the run. We did not perform very well. And we could all speculate, say Lawson is hurt. You know, Marshall was out there. Campbell missed a few plays, but guys have to get better at the end of the day and have to be more tentative in film work and look for those keys. So getting into it some more, man. Let me get in the chat real quick, man. We got a lot of people talking. Clinton Howard came in while we were talking. He one of the members of the channel. He said Milroe has to let it all hang out Saturday. No hesitation, no overthinking, just play. I agree. Coach Jay, you agree with that point?
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, kind of comment and expound on that. Like, when Clinton Howard, and I like to bring clarity to words. You know, people say perception is everything. I don't think Clinton is saying that Milroe is nervous. I think Milroe is such a team player that he does get into hesitating and overthinking when it's time for him to make a play. Coach Jay, you can expound on that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of take Auburn, just like I kind of talked about the good of him standing in the pocket. There were times where he should have just took it off and just take the easy 10, 11 extend plays. Like, we had drives where we could have scored if he decided just to take off. Now, again, I get it. And I think that this is a good problem to have, because I think Georgia's going to take a look at the film, and they're going to take a look at the fact how, okay, well, normally against these scrambling quarterbacks, like how they played against Peyton Thorne, if that first option wasn't there, he's gone. You know, Jaden Daniels Jaden Daniels is on another level as far as what he can do, because he can go through his progressions and he can just take off within the one read. Like that happened last year when he had that similar problem of figuring out what he wanted to be, and that all accumulated to the next year. He got it. He finally found his rhythm. That's why I want Jalen Milroe to come back the next year, but that's for a different conversation. Right. But I think that, yeah, if Jalen Milroe, for the most part, if there isn't anything, if you feel like you want to, if there's nothing there, if you see a potential opportunity where you can beat that defender, take off. Don't be afraid to take those yards. The 4th and 31. If he decided to just say, you know what, I have 20 yards of grass, and I know I'm one of the fastest players right there. Let me just go ahead and take off, and let's see if I can create a play. Because it's really me and the safety. The next defender is maybe 4 or 5 yards right behind him. If I can go ahead and I can decide to make a play, we have time, because the clock stops. If I decide to say, you know what, it's me and that defender, let me see if I can beat him. Whether if it's running him over, maybe trying to juke him. If I can just beat that defender, I can score this touchdown.
Right.
Instead, he decides to kind of step backwards, waste 12, 13 seconds off the clock, and that accumulated to 4th and 31. So, yeah, I mean, there are times where he is overthinking it. There are times where he is, but I just think that for the most part, it went from he was overthinking it because I think he's just trying to create a play to a point where he knows he can make a play. He knows that his offensive line, he has a lot of trust in that offensive line because you don't just hang back 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds in the pocket. When you don't. Yeah, but because coach, what happened earlier? What happened earlier? There was to a point where he was lacking confidence in his offensive line, and he was rushing his progressions because he knew that if I can't get this ball out 2 to 3 seconds earlier, that defender's coming around me. A guy like a Landon Jackson from Arkansas is going to come around me, and he's going to strip this, and I'm going to have a strip sack. Now it's to a point where he has complete confidence in that offensive line. So it's a good problem to have. And that's something that Georgia is going to take a note of, whether if it's good for them or bad for them for the most part. They're going to take a note of that. And that could be something that could help Alabama. But for the most part, yeah, he has to take whatever the defense gives them, take advantage of the opportunities that the defense gives you. Because it's a small error, man. Like you barely have any time because Georgia is one of those things that they can make a mistake and they can quickly recover as the play go on. They have the players that have range, that have elite range all over the place.
And that's what I was going to allude to, man. They're not necessarily getting the type of pressures that they were last year with their national championship defense. They've dropped down from they were number 6 last year coming into the SEC championship with pressures on QB. They're actually at number 28 this year. And our defense is actually ranked ahead of them with pressures on QB. And that's not based off total sacks. It's literally pressures on QB, meaning forcing the QB out of the pocket. And there's like there's like this metric that they use to determine pressures. Anything that results in an incompletion with no receiver in the area is considered a pressure when there's a defender within the immediate area or impeding area of the player's progression forward to produce yards. So that's what I mean by QB pressures. I just gave y'all a little, rule by the book.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? That thing was real. I ain't even practiced that, bro. But yeah, I'm looking at the numbers, man. And Georgia's defense, like you said, they know how to recover. And I think that's what saves them a lot, man. They know how to recover. They don't give half effort recovering. And there was a few plays that I saw Saturday night, where when the running back broke the first level, there were guys who were, on the perimeter blocking or getting blocked on the perimeter that did not turn to pursue. And I don't think this game you can afford that. You got Edwards coming out the backfield. You got a strong runner in Milton. I forget the other guy they got back there. But I think those two are their primary guys. Let me put these stats back up. I think those two are their primary guys. And Carson Beck can get sneaky and get out on the perimeter with his athleticism. People aren't giving that kid enough credit with his athleticism. So, like I said, DeJohn Edwards, they like to bring the Bell kid on the sweep motion. We've seen Kendrick Law getting involved. They got this Bell kid getting involved on this jet sweep motion, and he's a burner. And I'm excited to see the matchup that we're going to see. Primetime Dog had a question for us. I thought was an interesting topic to allude to, being that this is probably another big game for Tommy. Tommy Rees has had a lot of big games in his first year as a coordinator.
Yeah.
Like marquee games where we've seen changes with Rees. This question is a legit question, unbiasedly answering. Primetime Dog says, who is the better OC? Mike Bobo being UGA defensive coordinator, or Tommy Rees being offensive coordinator, or Tommy Rees, Alabama offensive coordinator? You want to take this one first, man? Weigh in on it.
This is a tough question because Mike Bobo had Todd Monken's blueprint right there for him, right? Tommy Rees had to instill his own playbook. He's not basing it off of, normally, again, we had, Brian Dable, and, got it from Brian Dable, Mike Loxley, a lot of our past coordinators, they got it from Lane Kiffin, right? Even Steve Sarkisian had a lot of his wrinkles that he added and incorporated, but for the most part, we still ran it. Lane Kiffin had a huge influence in why we still kind of run to this day. Tommy Rees was one of those coordinators where, yes, we're still keeping it, but it's a little bit different because what Bill O'Brien kind of brought to the table and how Tommy Rees had to kind of change a lot of the things that Bill O'Brien did and had to change his own wrinkles up, had to fix an offense that was that was, for the most part, made up for what Jalen Milroe can do with the skill set. Mike Bobo, man, again, had it all, right? Had it all. Like Todd Monken's blueprint, the offense Carson Beck's been in the offense for pretty much his entire career at the University of Georgia. So that's what I even called it last year. I'm like, Carson Beck it's gonna be the smoothest transition ever for a Georgia quarterback to make because of what you was able to have with Fromm, and then moving off to Stetson Bennett, and then all of a sudden here you go with a guy like him. So I think that because of how easy the transition was, I think it was a lot, and the experience that the players was able to have there. I thought that it was a lot easier for this offense to get off and get going. Like from day one, their offense was pretty good. Their offense was solid. Carson Beck in his first game was making plays, not just with his arms, but with his legs, going through his progressions. Like that stuff that I saw last year from Carson Beck, and that's why I thought Carson Beck had higher upside and than Stetson Bennett. Jalen Milroe, man, was raw, extremely raw. And there was a lot of things to kind of fix for that. Again, you had to work with a brand new offensive line. You had to work with skill position players that just didn't really fit well with the Bill O'Brien offense. And Ty Reese had to go through a bunch of weeks to a point where he had to figure out, okay, what truly can work with not just this one position group, but with multiple position groups. What do they do well? And how can I incorporate my plays, or what I want to try to incorporate my plays into fitting their skill set? How can I try to how can I combine that together to having a complete offense? So I think that I can't really even say who is better because I think how well Ty Reese has progressed this. Like we went from being a mediocre offense to now all of a sudden we're one of the highest scoring offenses, at least in the last 3-4 games. We're one of the most efficient offenses. Jalen Milroe is 4th in the country as far as quarterback efficiency. 4th. And that's over time, man. That just didn't happen over the night. That happened over time. So again, I'm sorry if I'm not really answering the question, but this is just tough.
You are.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
I mean, to back your point, man, I can't say who is better because to have Tommy Rees doing what he's doing at this stage of his career, this early in his career, with, like you said, all the things that were lined up in front of him. You're coming into a offense that traditionally, based off of what Alabama fans and the Alabama Nation, what Coach Saban was used to having as production, that all relied on one guy being in that offense, and that was Bryce Young the previous year, being able to be, an elite level talent when it came to quarterback. Tommy Rees didn't come in with an elite level talented quarterback. He had an elite athlete who could throw the ball, who had potential. And I think it took Tommy Rees lessening his understanding of what offensive play calling is and allowing the staff around him to incorporate what's best for the team, incorporating everybody's strengths, kind of concealing and developing weaknesses behind the scenes. And you saw that happen progressively happen throughout the year. We talked about it week 2 against Texas. No pre-snap motion in the run game. 2 weeks later, that's all we saw was pre-snap motion in the run game.
Yeah, Kendrick Law being utilized.
Kendrick Law's pre-snap motion, jet sweep motion. Kobe Prentice, jet sweep motion. Isaiah Bonds, Jermaine Burton, all those guys, the pre-snap motion with them to create leverage matchups. I mean, we saw Tommy Rees do that. To hop over to Mike Bobo, traditionally Mike Bobo has been nothing special, never been anything special. I think honestly, Mike Bobo is benefiting from the pace that Todd Monken set last year as the offensive coordinator. Or was it 2 years ago now? When did
he's the offensive coordinator? He was the offensive coordinator last year. He's now. Yeah, this was his first year in Baltimore.
Okay, so and that's what I'm saying. Like Todd Monken had that system humming for Stetson Bennett, and we see what Stetson Bennett and how comfortable he was able to get adapted to that offense. But it's not hard when you have the guy that's supposed to be your quarterback's first, his check down, his primary target when you're talking about developing in your tight ends. You got a Brock Bowers at tight end. You got a Kendall Milton and a Dejon Edwards at running back. You got a bunch of talented wide receivers who on paper are improving, but anybody could turn on the film and look at any one of those top 3 guys. And I'm talking Ladd McConkey. I'm talking about Rosemary Jackson, Thomas. Like, and that's the 3 I like. Georgia fans, I'm pretty sure you got your favorites, but as a Bama fan, when I watch these guys on the field together, when they're in their 11 personnel, and you got Ladd, and any other. I love it. That's the one.
Trent from Missouri.
Yeah. Love it from Missouri. That's the guy. And for him to come in and slide into the position, you could tell they don't put a lot of pressure on their receivers to produce because they are invested in their interior and their run game, and that allows that receiving core and tight ends included to be successful. So Mike Bobo has not gone away from that. people talked about, games that they struggled early in the game where they started slow. That's just with an offense and a quarterback creating timing. That offense could put up 40 points at any time, just like Alabama can. The only thing that stops Georgia's offense is Georgia's offense. And I feel like up until this point, this will be the first game. Mine is Auburn. Auburn's defense played them solid. Even Missouri played them solid for about 2.5 quarters. I say Missouri's defense also played them solid for about 2.5 quarters. But this will be the first game where athletically and talent-wise, they're going to see matchups across the board. We're going to be able to see both coordinators have to really scheme guys open. Let's jump into the super chats. I think I missed a few super chats before we continue to go. Javian Smith with the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate you. Roll Tide, man. He said, in all honesty, if we don't get in, I will be happy with the SEC championship. I mean, yes, everybody be happy with the championship, man, but you beat the number 1 team or number 2.
You say that until it actually happens.
Yeah, you a one-loss SEC champ. You deserve to be in. I don't care what you say. You talking about Power 5? You're national champs. The national champions came from the SEC for how many years now? In the college football playoff, the only ones outside of it, Ohio State, Clemson.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2. Who else has won a national title?
That's it.
Ohio State and Clemson.
Ohio State and Clemson. Everyone else has been SEC. LSU, Bama, Georgia.
That's crazy. So how do you have a college football playoff without a one-loss SEC champ? It just doesn't make sense traditionally. So yes, we'll be happy, Javian, but I don't think we'll be satisfied with not getting into the playoffs. Ray Parham, their pulling guards destroyed our inside linebackers. And one thing I do appreciate about Georgia, I don't know if they're gonna throw that wrinkle in tonight, but they don't pull a lot of guards. They rely on guys to win their matches. Kind of like like Alabama. So if they do create that wrinkle, that could definitely present some problems for us if our guys don't pay attention in the film room and really make those adjustments. A lot of times it felt like, especially Marshall, man, felt like he was waiting on blocks, not jumping the gaps. I felt Campbell got too antsy a few times and jumped gaps that weren't there or that didn't need to be jumped. But he's learning. He's becoming a lot more patient and decisive with how he attacks and run support. So I'm excited for Jahad Campbell. Hopefully Lawson gets healthier this week. He didn't look 100% against Auburn, but I don't think he was going to sit out that game regardless if he was 50% or 100%. He was not sitting out possibly his last Iron Bowl. Ray Parham has a question for the panel. He said, "What defensive philosophy would you guys deploy against Georgia?" I'm thinking cover 3, but have Caleb come down and bracket Bowers with the linebacker underneath. Hey, Ray, I'm glad you're in here talking football. A lot of people that's in here talking a lot of trash probably don't even understand what that means. I wish I had a board right here to draw it up, but I can kind of design it. Look, that's crazy. The field being behind me. So when he's saying cover 3, look, let's see if I can
get your little marker.
Hold on. Let me see. Can we do this? So you get a corner over here, right? Let's say, for instance, their offense, they're going that way, right? Towards this way. Our defense, with cover 3, base cover 3, you have corner here. We run a 5 DB set. So you have corner here, have a safety based off the alignment. You have 2 safeties over top. Your nickel corner be up in here to start, and then your corner be over here on the field right here, right? Cover 3, deep third with your corner right here. He going back up that way. Your strong side safety covers deep, and your weak side corner by itself, he has man concept, but nothing gets behind. That's the base. What Ray is saying, bring Caleb Downs below that, basically plays sort of a robber at wherever Brock Bowers lines up. So if Brock Bowers lines up on this side, you line up Caleb on that side, 7 to 9 off, and he kind of brackets him, not man him, but brackets him, and he's his focus, his first read in the zone. So if Brock Bowers goes inside, Downs jumps him. If Brock Bowers goes outside, Down kind of clouds him. And it's not man because Down still has his hook responsibility at that deep hook or that post responsibility as that strong safety. So I think that will work. But you got a guy in Brock Bowers who knows how to read defenses and break down coverages as a wide receiver. Coach Jay, what you feel? I kind of agree with Ray. I think that's kind of your base look that you go with. You don't go with a simple cover 3, but definitely give that as your primary.
No, I thought that was solid. I thought that was a really, really good. First of all, that's a really, really good breakdown for a lot of fans who really don't understand it. You know, it's funny. My uncle, he kind of texted me about it. He gave me an idea. He said, "What if Caleb Downs? What if we decide to kind of bring that extra defensive back? We bring Caleb Downs. Maybe he's shadowing Brock Bowers, whatever he's going, because I do think that Caleb Downs, I really think that as far as who's the best player that can cover the tight ends of this team, I think it could be a player like Caleb Downs. Looking at how he did in the Ole Miss game, I thought he could do something like that. But what if you have someone like a Christian Story with Jalen Key kind of back there covering that deep third? You have Caleb Downs potentially going over there, potentially shadowing Brock Bowers, since he's going to be potentially one of your biggest weapons. I mean, like I said, it's all based because Georgia runs 12 and 13. They do run some 12 and 13, and Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp on the same field. That's going to present a challenge. But I mean, that he texted me that. I'm like, hey, that could be interesting.
Yeah, and if you want to throw the wrinkle in there, you don't necessarily have to just shadow Downs to give to give different looks. You leave Arnold, who's your star. I think this game we're going to really have to rely on the inside linebackers being disciplined, and we're going to have to go with a 2 down lineman look to keep our edges. Turner, Robinson, Braswell. They're going to have to stay out on the field. We can't go heavy and expect to slow this defense down. Sure, tackling, gang tackling is going to be important in defending the run game. But as far as covering Brock, you're going to have to give him different looks. You're going to have to put Downs, who's not a small safety. I think Downs is
big boy, man.
6'2", 6'1", like 205
6'1",
right
210.
Now. Yeah, 210.
Yeah, 205, 210. He's a house.
Yeah,
dude,
and he's a true freshman. That's the thing. So you get a longer, more nimble guy who plays ball good, like Terry and Arnold, lined up on him. I don't mind that matchup with Arnold on Brock Bowers. Arnold, who is a physical corner, may not have the size and the girth, but he is a physical corner, can be disruptive. He's shown that he can be disciplined with playing, how much aggressiveness he needs on the receiver when the ball is in the air. A guy like Brock Bowers, you just want to make sure you're securing the tackle. Brock Bowers has done most of his damage with yards after the catch this season, something that you don't see from a tight end with his stature and his type of gameplay and how he's a lot faster than people give him credit for. So yeah, you can't trust a linebacker to go out there and do it. And the first time we see that, I guarantee you Georgia's going to go fast ball, no huddle, and they're going to keep that personnel grouping out there and they're going to expose it kind of like Tennessee did early in the game. So let's hope we don't go odd man front. Let's go even front with our 2-man front, and let's just line it up. Dime your cover nickel or your base dime set is going to be probably a go-to formation if I'm Kevin Steele, and that's kind of my take on it, man. He said David Kendall. Oh Lord! Shout out to David Kendall for the $2 super chat. He said Beck looked like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. Man, get off Carson Beck, man. I don't have nothing against Carson Beck. I honestly, if he would have decided to come to Alabama, I would have been just as happy. Like he is that type of quarterback, and to see his growth, I'm proud of that kid. I honestly thought he had got down on himself because of the hype around Brock Vandegrift or whatever the other kid's name is behind him. I thought Beck might have got down on himself, but I'm glad to see he's continued to grow and get mature, man. And hold on, we gotta talk about this. Tyrone side sled, no story. I want to know what your problem is with Christian Story, and I'm gonna give you time. I'm gonna give him time to respond. Better than Key.
Yeah, I think Story. I think he's better. I mean, for what I saw last week, as far as Story having his ability to fill in certain gaps, to jump passes, not hesitate. Like I saw so much hesitation. There, a lot of the big runs, it was simply because it was safety responsibility to fill in.
Safety to fill. The biggest run, the biggest one. Well, like I said, when Marshall was diving at Key's legs, not the running back, he was falling, not even diving, falling at Jalen Key's legs. Christian Story takes on that tackle with a different type of intensity. And if Caleb Downs is not getting held on the previous big run, he's attacking with that same intensity. Jalen Key doesn't give me that physicality that we need at safety. And I don't know what the coaching staff is seeing in him that makes, like, he's not a better cover guy. Nope. Jalen Key has 1 interception this year, and that was against Middle Tennessee State on a bad underthrown pass. Nice bait move by him, but experienced quarterback, you bait like that, they're not underthrowing that look. That's what he benefited from, a quarterback underthrowing. Smitty's not ready, man. I don't know what y'all saw from Smitty. I think we were just hyped to see Smitty on the field and to almost have that pick. But even when that ball got tipped up in the air, Smitty, the receiver from Chattanooga, still almost got under before Smitty did. So against a team like Georgia, you can't have a guy that's a step slow, a step behind because of a lack of reps. This is not the game for that. I think Story is our best option. I think even if you want to keep Malachi and Downs as your primary safety, you have enough cover ability with Amos. You got the kid came in for Arnold. Antonio Kite coming off the bench as your fourth cover guy. When you have wide receivers, 11 personnel, meaning you got 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 12 personnel, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Anytime you have that, you don't have to commit as much cover, guys. So Georgia doesn't go into many 4 wide sets. They'll split their tight end, but they're not going into many 4 and 5 wide sets.
No,
so
12.
Yeah, they're kind of like us. They kind of build their offense based off of the success of the 12-man personnel. So I'd be curious to see which safety trots out there. I think both of them will get split reps. I know Story was out there for a lot of the dime look as the dime safety, but me personally, man, I want Story out there for your base look, definitely. But he just brings a different discipline.
It's way more interesting because, not really, because Georgia last year hired Darnell Washington. So when they went 12, it was way more balanced, way more run heavy because you had a big 280-pound dude that can simply just literally he was the 6th tackle. He was the 6th tackle. Then he was 6th tackle. But now you have Oscar Delp more as that 12 guy. I mean, they're splitting these tight ends. They're more pass happy now when they're running the 12 than they are there. So it's interesting. I think you can run a lot more dime looks and not be afraid to when they go in that 12 type look.
I mean, if you, and I'm talking a dime look with you put Key and Story over top. You let 2 safeties who really play run support so well in Malachi and Caleb Downs. You pull them out of those situations. Well, I'm gonna say Malachi Moore. You pull Malachi Moore out of a situation of having to cover anything over 15 yards down the field. That's not his strong suit. He has come through and made a few plays that was used against running backs and tight ends, but I don't want Malachi Moore against Delp or Browers 15 plus yards downfield. That's not a good situation for us. Malachi's his instincts and his ability to play in the run support, you kind of see it mirrored with Caleb Downs. So if you could play them close to the line, that helps out your inside linebackers. That keeps guys who don't tackle strong like Jalen Key from having to be your primary run support off of the interior or outer run game, your perimeter run game. So, I mean, I think we both have a good idea of how it should be. What does Kevin Steele go with based off of last game? Man, I don't know. That was very disappointing. If I had to talk about last game, one last thing.
Not that light package. What
that light package is not it, man.
No, man. You
can't have a team that can run.
Payne in there. No way in hell, man. You gotta go heavy. You gotta go base. You gotta go heavy base. Or give us some different looks.
If I guess because when it came down to crunch time, we saw base personnel out there. We saw the starters, Otis and Keenan out there. When we need to stop the run game in the second half, you saw those guys out there. I think Kevin Steele thought because of the way the Auburn offensive line had struggled in pass pro, I think he was prepping for them to extend the run game on the perimeter. But Auburn was disciplined enough and Hugh Freeze was disciplined enough to stick with what they do best. And Kevin Steele waited a little bit too long and stayed in that light package a little bit too long. And it kept them in the game. I saw a question. He said, coaches, you think the fact that we've been in more close games this year could come into play if it's close? Clinton, you bring up another good point. I believe that. But Georgia's had just as many close games. Scoreboard don't say it, but Georgia's had just as many tests as we have against teams that they shouldn't have. Coach Jay, you got a response to that?
They've won 2 natties, man. They're prepared for every single situation. Like, you don't win 2 national championships, and a lot of these guys that are playing were on that roster. They were either playing as rotational guys, or some of those guys were just watching on the sideline. But I can tell you, man, when you have a coach like Kirby Smart in there, they're ready. They're ready for any sort of situation, whether if it's close or by blow. I don't think that this is different from 21 because they didn't have that championship DNA. They were developing it, and they finally had the roster to put it together that can accumulate it. But they never ever faced a test like us. Never did. I mean, last year 2020 we destroyed them, and then 2021 when they brought all that same sort of confidence, they had the roster to do it, but they didn't have that championship DNA established yet. Well, now they do. They've won 2 national titles because of that. They're ready to go if we have to go close.
Right. And Al Sanders is alluding to some of the comments I was making about Malachi Moore. I don't want to see Malachi on McConkey. That's why I say don't bring.
Oh, he'll get killed. Don't
you
do it.
Get what I'm saying? That's why I say you bring your dime and you bring a corner on the field, man. A true corner. You can have cover guys that have gotten reps these last 4 weeks. I think some of the guys, like I said, Kite. I won't go as far as say Jaleel Hurley, but I think even Devontae Smith, being healthy. If they go to a 3-wide set and we're not getting the production from Malachi Moore or the over-the-top safety help over the strong side is not being disciplined, you got to bring in a guy that can – you just got to let them match up and make sure guys are communicating. I saw a lot of miscommunication on switches and releases last game, and if Auburn was able to create it, I know Georgia's going to attack the same thing. To Al Sanders' point and to our point earlier, I think their first thing, the two things that Georgia's offense is going to attack as far as our defense is the interior run game. How can they get penetration and get up to the second level, and how do our guys react to that? And then also creating a matchup with the safeties. How are they going to decipher their coverage? How are they going to switch things on the perimeter? Those are the two things that I think are going to be the primary focuses for Georgia's offense. When I say I know they want to get a fast start too. They don't want to come in and grind this game out. They want to get a fast start because you give Milroe a lot more opportunities than what he should have. It can get bad for your defense because their defense has some of the same struggles we have. You know, I think they have better inside linebacker play, but they don't have a defensive front that's creating the type of pressure that they're used to having.
They don't have a better front. They don't have a better first lineup. I think their second and third lineup is a little bit better, but their first lineup is, I think we have the better first lineup than they do.
Yeah. I do think they are deeper. I do think they're deeper in the front. But as far as explosive guys that can get upfield and really put pressure on the quarterback with just 3 or 4, I don't see it with Georgia this year. Not saying they don't have guys. I just haven't seen it.
No, they got guys. Yeah.
They know they got.
They use schematic like the schematic. Like they, for the most part, Glenn Schumann and Kirby, they draw it up. They want to create opportunities because they draw it up. We can just, we can simply just say, you know what, just rush forward and we can just apply pressure. We got 2 guys. Yeah. We got 2 first-round guys coming off the edge that can provide pressure by themselves.
Okay. And so check this out. Let's talk about the X factors, man. We've been going into this game. I think we've been creating good dialogue. I think the chat is enjoying it. If you're enjoying it, put some fire emojis in the chat. If you don't know what fire emojis are, you just click on the little smiley face if you have an iPhone, and it's like a little fire. I'm just playing. Let me stop doing that. Y'all got me hyped with this. I'm gonna find a way to do it, y'all. I'm gonna find a way to do it. We're gonna start breaking it down on the field.
You gotta get a smart board right behind the green screen somehow, so you can just electronically get the mark. Yep.
Look, have like a blinds, 2 cords, and just let's take it to the board and pull it up, and then you see the whiteboard. Yeah, man. But yeah, so X factors for this game. We didn't talk too much about our offense versus their defense. I think this is where the X factors are going to have to come from for Alabama. Not necessarily defensive X factors. I think defense is going to need a complete team effort to the point where it kind of provides it's one of those things where it's guys, the defense have to play team ball. 11 guys to the ball every time. Just a disciplined assignment football. Offensively, we're going to need 1 or 2 guys who aren't usually the key focal point, who are the second and third option to really be consistently there. An X factor I think is going to be big for Alabama this week going against that Georgia defense. I think Caden Proctor is going to be an X factor. Reason being, I know they're going to send a lot of looks his way. And however early we can establish not making him decipher things, meaning decipher stunts in the pass game, building the pass game up to where he's kind of seeing the speed of what's happening in front of him, running the ball to his side so he's in attack mode, push mode, instead of pull and wait or pull and decipher. Give him his look, let him go and attack his look, and try to call the game to set him in place early is going to be a key factor. Another guy I think is going to be an X factor is Malik Benson out on the perimeter. I don't think we've given this kid enough credit for how he's continued to run his routes 100%. And also Malik Benson is getting a lot better in the perimeter run blocking. A lot of us gave him a lot of flack for not blocking downfield in the run game. But if you go look back at a lot of the Roydell Williams, Jam Miller, Jace McClellan big runs, they happen when Jermaine Burton, and Kendrick Law are in the game together. So I would love to see Malik Benson continue to grow in that. But not only that, he's such a sure-handed guy. The pass that, he dropped in the Auburn game. That should have been PI. The guy was riding his back while he's jumping, working back to the ball. The defender was on his back. And that was a key first down. I believe Benson's making that catch without the PI. And still almost made the catch, without his arms being put in a rear naked chokehold or whatever. He makes that catch. So X factors for you, man.
No, I think Caden Proctor was definitely a good one. I think that's going to be fine because, for the most part, Michael Williams, one of their best pass rusher going against Caden Proctor, one of our biggest risers, and they like to rotate because Chambers is right behind him. They rotate better than anybody in the country. So he's going to get a bunch of different looks. They have 5. So sometimes I think Zion sometimes even plays out there sometimes as well, kind of playing as more of that 5 look. So it's interesting, man. It's going to be a very, very fun look because he's going to get presented a lot of different looks, different challenges. And like I said before, Caden Proctor the last 3 to 4 weeks has played really, really well. And the fact that, again, I don't think he didn't even allow a sack. I don't even think, you look at his pressure rate as far as how many people got pressure, not a lot. So that's going to be really, really fun. I think offensively, for the most part, they got some guys that are banged up on the defensive side of the ball, mostly with the secondary. I think that, again, Isaiah Bond, I think he's well known now. I think you have guys like Bullard and Michael Williams. Those are guys that, for the most part, they know who he is, right? He's going to get a lot of spotlight, especially what he can do in the slot, especially what he can do vertically. Jermaine Burton, of course. I don't know if I think he's going to go against Lassiter. I think Lassiter is going to be his potential matchup. Again, you can move Burton all over the field, but I think his primary matchup is going to be against Lassiter. That's going to be fun. But I agree. Benson could be a big opportunity, especially how we use them in the perimeter. I think Law, a couple times now, man. I'm telling you, he's getting bigger and better and better and better.
I'm telling you, man. His decisiveness on setting up his blocks on those sweeps, man.
Yep.
Like, it's been times where we've seen receivers try to just shoot to the sideline and then get upfield. Kendrick Law comes in full speed on that motion, man. He comes in a nice stride. I ain't gonna say full speed, a nice stride speed. And that momentum, his way he times it up, you could tell he played a lot of running back in high school. You could tell he took a lot of carries because he sets up his perimeter blocking so good, man. Even the play that the crappy tacky call that they call on Dupree, and you turn around on the next drive, and Auburn's tight end literally does the same exact thing to Caleb Downs on their big run. Similar type of play. They pull the jet sweep motion and they hand it off. Tight end hooks the guy. We get a holding call, get a call back. They don't, So somebody in the chat asked the question. They said, "How much of a factor could the referees be in the game?" Man, the referees in the SEC ball play, not just Alabama games, but SEC refs have been horrible.
Yeah. Normally SEC championship games. The officiating isn't the best either, but that's mainly it's just been on both sides. Like I remember the last time, like 2021 was a mess when it comes to officiating for both sides.
And I think that was probably that SEC championship game. I think fans on both sides of the ball were probably, you won't see it a lot in games where the team that lost and the team that won are both saying the officiating was horrible. So I don't think it's going to impact. I think both teams are coming into it looking at how both of their games went this past weekend. I don't know if you got to watch the Georgia Tech game, but there was some bogus calls that weren't called in that game, and then ticky-tack calls that were like, you just called that, but you didn't, the obvious. And so I don't want to see any makeup calls. You miss a call, you just got to live with it, man. That almost killed us. They gave them, for missing one 15-yard penalty on the face mask. They basically gave Auburn like 45 yards of get back, off of penalties that really weren't really penalties. So shout out to the Inquisitive Prince with the $5 super chat. He said, "What UGA defensive group can Bama's offense exploit? Also, can Bama play up tempo? Keenan and Otis have to wreak havoc." All right, I like this. Kind of a two-parter. What UGA defensive group can Bama's offense exploit? I don't think it's necessarily a set that we can exploit. I think it's going to take multiple looks to find a niche. I don't think you can come out and be vanilla against Georgia. I saw a comment by Ted Turner in the chat talking about UGA's pass rush doesn't have a pass rush. That's a lie. Kirby Smart and they have guys. Offensive coordinators just haven't been trying them lately. Haven't been taking that chance of dropping the quarterback 5-step drops. Missouri was the first one to do it, and they still were able to get good pressure on him. He just is an experienced quarterback, and you have some dogs at receiver. You know, they just don't have a defense. Missouri didn't have a defense, and they were still able to create some issues for Georgia's offense. So, never looked in the transitive problem, but you look at the film and you see things that can possibly use to your advantage. What UGA defense you think can be exploited, Coach J?
So are they talking about like the position group, like which position group can exploit them?
That's what I'm trying to think. Like, are they talking about DBs, linebackers? Let me see. Inquisitive Prince, are you talking about like what position group as far as DBs, linebackers, defensive linemen? What?
Because I think their secondary can be exploited. That's for I'm not one of those. I think it's good. It's a good secondary. I think their safety group is excellent. I love Javon Bullard and I love Michael Williams. I don't like their outside corners. I think Lassiter is a little overrated to me. I think he's a little bit too handsy. I think that with the right possible receiver, I think Burton, this is a perfect game for Burton, in my opinion, to go against Lassiter. I think Everett's solid, but Everett is kind of like Ringo a little bit. Ringo would take like how
Ringo is not your range coverage.
Yeah, exactly. That's Everett. And so I think that you look at a guy like, if you place Bond on the outside, or even a guy like Benson who can stretch that thing vertically, it can be like there's,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see, is Tommy Rees going to implement the switch release concept on the perimeter when you got Benson and Burton on the same side, or Benson and Bonds on the same side, Burton and Bonds? Like, I would love to see, because we've been doing it, but what's been happening is the tight end, when he has the one-on-one, has been so open, it's hard to come off a knee black when he's one-on-one with a safety or outside linebacker 15, 20 yards downfield. You know, like you don't pass that up with a guy like knee black. So we've seen Milroe. A lot of people was talking about Milroe's intermediate passing completion. I think this game he has the opportunity to exploit, because these Georgia DBs are going to be told, don't get beat, don't give anything up deep. So Milroe's going to have to complete a few 11 to 15 yarders, 12 to 17 yarder type concept plays, and then but you do have a safety. I think Bullard is their safety. Isn't Bullard their safety?
Bullard and Williams.
Now Bullard, yeah, that dude. I don't want Milroe to hang nothing over the middle. It's not that he's gonna pick it off. That kid is gonna lay, bro. He gonna hurt somebody. He's gonna hurt somebody. He's the Ed Reed of their defense. I'm telling you, that kid Bullard. He's not the best cover guy. Go ahead.
He reminds me a lot of Robert Lester. If there's one player that he reminds me a lot of Robert Lester, man.
Ooh. I mean, and Starks, Malachi Starks, I was high on him his freshman year, which was last year, I believe.
Starks, yeah.
Yeah, I was high on him, but he hasn't been tested. So this game, it'll be his chance to show up. It'll be his chance to show up, because I don't think Milroe's going to shy away from anybody. But I don't believe in last year. Last year is a poor man's Kool-Aid. Has the height, has the potential, but it's so inconsistent. He doesn't have the same athletic ability that Kool-Aid possesses, that allows Kool-Aid to recover in a lot of his mistakes. And I think that could come back to bite him. But because I know Kirby Smart and that defensive staff is going to have these guys coached up to not get beat deep, it'll have to be a mental breakdown to see us expose him. And also, can Bama play up tempo? I think we're going to have to mix it in. We can't just play straight up tempo. We're going to have to pay attention to personnel groupings. Whatever defensive personnel grouping we find the most success against early in the game, when we get that look again, and if we could find the same success with similar play calling, which Tommy Rees is starting to develop that trait, I think he can go up tempo 2 or 3 drives out of 9, 10 drives, that average of 10, 11 drives. You get a game with Alabama's offense. I think you go 3 or 4 drives where you can go up tempo majority of that drive. I think we find success. What's your take, Coach J?
No, I agree. I mean, I also will add this too. If this is the game where if you have something that Georgia hasn't got any film on, whip it out. This is not the game to hold back. This is the game. You know, again, it sucks playing a team like Georgia in the SEC championship game. Because you want to start saving some of those things for the playoffs, and even if we were lucky enough to get to the national championship game, but no, you can't. You can't whip it out. You gotta
whip
give
it out.
Everything.
You gotta.
You know, no point intended, because I know some of you guys are immature. But
Coach is immature. You know what show I be on, man. You know how we get down.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh, man.
that's why I say, but yeah, any wrinkles you got in the offense, that for the most part, do not be afraid to show it. And I think that
Right.
for the most part, looking at that game for Auburn, there were some things where I'm like, okay, I think Tyrese is holding some things back. Same thing with Kevin Steele. I'm like, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? There's just I can't even explain to you why we went light so many times. Besides, are we holding something back? Are we not presenting something that maybe we're going to do against Georgia? So, and who knows, maybe Georgia, I mean, again, I got to go back and I got to watch that game, but again, you look at the scoreboard, 31-23, and that was a competitive 4 quarters. Not like they were up 31-3 and Georgia Tech just came back in garbage time. They were competitive, and they had players that were out, but it's kind of like both teams where were both teams in a way looking ahead, focusing on the SEC championship game compared to focusing on their rivals because of just how truly big that game is. I mean, we'll never know, but again, I think the point is that Ty Marie is like, I think for the most part, you cannot be afraid not to show, those things that you got cooking up in the lab.
Man, what's crazy is I'm looking at this comment. Last year is better than Kool-Aid. Guess what? Last year's not be even better than Terry and Arnold based off the Pro Football Focus grades that's been coming out all season. He has yet to grade higher than Kool-Aid or Terry and Arnold. So if I had to go with just what the numbers saying and what the evaluators are saying, Pro Football Focus, and that I'm going with I'm going to disagree with you. He is a good cover guy. Like I said, I haven't seen him tested enough. He has 2 picks on the season, 6 pass deflections on the season. I mean, solid numbers for a guy that's not going to get tested a lot. I think this game will definitely be one where he's going to see his opportunities, and we're going to see what he's going to do with them. I don't doubt that this is going to be a matchup to be looked at when you talk about last year against Burton. That, like you said, man, that's going to be a big one. This guy, who is this? Sharice Armstead, talking about how Alabama lost to Texas, and I don't remember. You remember playing UCF this year?
We can play UCF.
I remember playing USF, South Florida. I don't remember UCF, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I say we treat Bowers like neighbors with LSU because he gonna get his share. Facts. You got to live with something. Mm-hmm. You can't take everything away. I think everybody knows that in college football. But if you can go with a base look and have success with Downs or Arnold, like I said, I don't want to commit those guys because McConkey is their X factor this game. He's the one that's still, I don't know why people forget about him, but he's probably the best route runner.
He's their Hunter Renfrow.
Yo, like, I mean, but he's faster than Hunter. And
way faster.
He's actually an athlete, man. McConkey he got hops, man. I've seen a couple clips of McConkey doing workouts and stuff, and in them pads, he looked like a little scrawny, YT boy, but he got some juice in him, man. And I like it because he played with an intensity and such a level of control. If you look at how he's progressed throughout his career, his approach to the game has never changed. You know what I'm saying? He's always been a route technician. He's always been a technician when it came to securing the ball on the catch. So I don't want Malachi Moore or I don't want Malachi Moore or Jalen Key on that assignment. I don't want a linebacker.
No, Key would get burnt. I mean, they both will get burnt. Give me the extra corner. Give me the extra corner, or at least Caleb Downs. I think I won't even mind.
Yeah,
I know Caleb Downs can keep that covered and keep the bracket, but no, just give me an extra defensive back or give me an extra corner.
Question, and I just thought about this because I'm looking at how he played coverage when he and Blackshire had to fill in. When you talk, we talked about bracketing Bowers and the other tight end. When you have that bracket concept, I don't mind Campbell playing on his hip. I don't mind it. I think
Campbell's got range.
He has the range. He might not have the speed to stay step for step on the extended route, but you don't give him that situation. But to play the hook, to play the flat, to play the short corner or the seam, the quick seam look. Mm-hmm. I think we could trust Campbell, but you would have to have such impeccable interior, like front line play with your 2 bookends, not necessarily ends, but outside linebackers that line up like ends. Otis and Keenan would definitely have to play some impeccable gap containment. Help safety over top has to be eye discipline to know when to shoot, to play to support the run. Inside linebacker can't get caught up on blocks that aren't meant for him. Like, all these things have to happen to have Campbell be dedicated to coverage. And you don't want to go base zone with which is what most people do, unless you've established that you can get pressure with 4.
This is one of those games where I wish I had CJ Mosley on the field.
Right.
If I had CJ Mosley on the field,
or Reuben Foster.
Or Reuben Foster. Man. Guys that I know in zone that can cover to the hook and cover to the
or even a healthy Mac Wilson, bro. Like,
Mac Wilson.
Because Mac Wilson was when you talk about being able to spy QBs, whether athletic, deceptive athleticism, whatever, Mac Wilson was that dude. You know, he can get out to the flats. I think we forget about his pick in the flats, man. Like, that he jumped that like a safety. So shout out to the 179. We had an hour and 20 minutes on the show. I didn't even know we went that long, Coach Jay. But we had 120, a minute and 20, a minute and 20 on the show, and we got 179 still live talking Alabama Georgia SEC championship game with us. Definitely a good time. Coach Jay, we're gonna keep getting into our topics, man. We talked about how we feel like they can win. Let's get into some final thoughts on this game going forward, and let's get some early projections. I'm not going to get into numbers right now. Because we do have our show on Wednesday, but let's get into some early predictions. You know, how we can see the game going, how we feel it can go, and let's just elaborate on it, man. Go ahead.
Man, I think it's going to be a very close type ball game. I think this is going to be a 2012, 2018 type of contest where it's so much is on the line for both teams. I mean, it's not just us fighting playoffs. I mean, Georgia's too. I mean, if Georgia loses this game, they're not making it in my personal opinion. You can make an argument the 2 best teams in the country are playing in this game. And I mean, again, we'll talk about that on Wednesday, but I mean, it's just, these are 2 phenomenal teams. And it's just, man, it's going to be a chess. It's going to be a game of chess, man. And I can't wait for it. If I have to kind of give some early predictions, I would say right now, and again, this is possibly going to be changing on Wednesday, but I am going to stick with my regular season prediction. I got to be consistent with this. I did have Georgia win this game. I had them win this game. Really, I think I had 28-24. I had this in July. I had this all written down in July. I think that this is going to be, I think I'm going to scale it 27-24. I think this is going to be a very close game. And like I said, my prediction can change. I've been flip-flopping like this since the Auburn game. I think this is going to be close, competitive, hard-fought. Would not be surprised if Bama wins. Wouldn't be surprised if Georgia wins. I'll be shocked if it's a blowout. I'll say that. I'll be shocked if one team blows out the other, because I think that for the most part, both teams are going to show a lot of different looks. I think, a lot of different looks that we haven't seen before. It's going to be a war, man. So that's kind of my early game prediction. I know, again, I'm going to get a lot of hate in the Bama in the comment section. It is what it is. Try to be as objective as possible here, people.
Yeah.
But that's just my early game prediction so far. But man, I just think it's going to be a war, and I can't wait for this game. I can't wait until Coach Sean gets in here, because it's going to be even more fun on Wednesday.
Right. And that's what I was hoping. I hate that he couldn't be here, because I need that pessimist view right now. I need that pessimist view to fuel my prediction. But my prediction this week is based on what's been put on the film on the field, man. And I don't have either team like decisively winning this game. I don't know. This game is gonna come down to who makes the 2, not 1 extra opportunity, because both of these teams show that they can bounce back from missing out on 1 opportunity. It's going to be who can make those 2 consecutive extra opportunities count. I feel like both defenses have the ability to create opportunities for their offense. I feel like both offenses kind of build their offense throughout the game the same way, out of the same personnel, and building up, to what they're trying to get to. But I think overall, this team is built to do things that Georgia hasn't seen all year on a different level. And I think Georgia's built to do things that Alabama hasn't seen. When you talk about teams being more battle tested on film, you would think it would be Alabama, but Georgia has been battle tested this season. They didn't start off early against strong teams. We were dogging their schedule, but they got the best of Tennessee. They got the best of Auburn. They got their best from I think Kentucky gave them a solid 2.5.
No, they blew them out.
Yeah, I mean, they gave them a solid 2.5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's one of those things, man. Like I'm not saying I'm not confident in our team. I'm not confident in who's going to make those 1 or 2 plays on either side, man. And so if I had to see this game, I say best case scenario for either team is a 4-point victory on either side, and worst case scenario is an 18-point injury to Carson Beck or injury to Brock Bowers, injury to Jalen Milroe, injury to Deontay Lawson, or me personally, I think if we lose Caleb Downs in a game like this, it hurts us more than anything
it sucks,
on the defensive side. I mean, this is a game, and Bama Nation, do not take this the wrong way. This is a game, if you lose anybody but Terrion Arnold and Caleb Downs, we can suffice. You can plug guys in, even on Kool-Aid side. I feel comfortable bringing in Antonio Kite or Jaleel Hurley to play weak side corner and allowing Amos to be your lockdown corner, or bringing a Smitty to play safety and walking Malachi down to star and playing that that true star and putting Amos and Arnold or Amos and Kool-Aid. I mean Arnold and whoever on the perimeter. I don't feel safe, not having Caleb Downs out there. This guy's a true freshman who's been playing like a 5th-year senior. The kid, he's made 3 big mistakes this whole season, and you're talking about he started all 12 games of the regular season. So this could be a game where it just takes those extra plays, man, those opportunities. The first team to not miss on a deep or not overthrow a wide open deep ball, I feel like that'll be the difference in the game. Just that one completion, or the first team that could create an interception and actually get 3 points off of it. I feel like that's going to be the difference in the game. So worst case scenario, you have a nervous Carson Beck, and he just does some uncharacteristic things that they just can't rebound from offensively. And that's how Georgia would have to lose. They have an uncharacteristic broken coverage on the back end twice in a game, because they have the same issue we have. They'll have one broken coverage. And what they do is it hasn't cost them yet this season. We had one against Texas and you saw what happened. But the rest of the season, we haven't seen a broken coverage cost us in a game. So like I said, I'm curious. I'm right there with you, man. Ain't no Bama goggles and none of that. Ain't no fandom, none of that. This is literally the game I've been waiting for, because this is a game where you really have to look at the film. You have to look at the tape. You can't look at the numbers. Like I was alluding to the sacks by each team. Last year coming into this game, Alabama didn't have near as many sacks as Georgia, and not last year, 21 coming into this game. Alabama's defense was not performing near as the level as they were this season, statistically or on film. And we're out doing Georgia by 13 sacks right now. I think Georgia has 25 sacks. 25.
They're not a high sackage team. Yeah, they're like even back in 21, they're not a team that gets a lot of sacks. They normally they scheme up a lot of their players to get those opportunities.
But they do remain in the top 15 as far as QB pressures.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier. I did say we were higher. I think that's just because people didn't respect what we was bringing to the defense. A lot of people respect what Georgia does, so they don't give their quarterbacks a lot of opportunities to do what they want to do. So people usually have to come in with a different game plan of what they're used to doing when they play Georgia, and that keeps them from having the type of numbers that you would see from a talented defense like that. And I see y'all in the chat beating us up, man. Nobody's scared by any means. I'm a guy that loves great football. I love good football, and we literally have the 2 best teams in college football right now as far as the way that they're playing on the field, and that's against anybody. I'll line Georgia or Alabama up against any team in the nation right now, and I will put my money on Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
The two best teams in the nation are in the SEC, and they're playing for the SEC championship game this Saturday. I think as an Alabama fan and as a Georgia fan, if you don't realize that, if you're sitting here thinking that it's going to be a blowout, if you're a Georgia fan thinking that you have this dominant defense, turn on the Auburn game. Turn on the Georgia Auburn game. If you're an Alabama fan that thinks that Jalen Milroe is just this superstar, turn on the Auburn game. That's a big game that if you want to use transitive property and seeing uncharacteristic things happen from guys trending, Carson Beck was trending up before that Auburn game. He came in and they had 2 turnovers. We didn't have any turnovers. So if we want to talk about comparative, transitive property, we literally had the better showing. The score won't say it, but the numbers will. They did the same thing offensively against your defense that they did against Alabama's defense. So Lisa Teffer said, man, what happened to you two last week? Y'all were absolutely sure Alabama would win. This is not what I want to hear from y'all. I believe and have confidence in Saban and having them ready. Hey, believe and having confidence all you want. What Coach Sean say? The truth is in the details.
Is in the details.
The details to show you that this game is not going to be a close game. And you can't go into this. Coach Saban and Coach Kirby Smart both know that they have to bring their A game. This is the most anticipated matchup of college football. Whether you're SEC,
this is a national championship game. Like let's just like take the playoffs and take that out. This is literally a national. This is a national championship game with the description telling you it's not. This is literally a national title, and they're going to treat this game like it's a national title. I'm telling you, it's going to be war. It's going to be fireworks, man. And these are the type of game. People saying we're scared. We're excited for this. I'm excited for this. I'm
excited.
Matchup. Yeah, I've been waiting for this for years. I've been waiting for this for 2 years. I've been waiting to get our
game, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is, I didn't want to see Bryce against Georgia again. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see a balance. I want to see a well-coached Alabama team going against a hot defending national champ Georgia team. And I was hoping that it would have happened after they won their first one. And we saw what we was able to do. We saw what we was able to do against that team. But this year, it's just, it seems like the when you talk about growth, Alabama probably has the best film when it talks about growing from where we started and how we lost the Texas game to where we are now. You'll probably say Alabama has had the most growth. But as far as consistently being the best team on the field, every time they stepped on the field for the past 28 games now, Georgia has been the best team on the field for 28 games, no matter who they lined up against. You can't deny that. And as a football fan, I appreciate these type of matchups. And y'all see what I'm wearing. I'm Roll Tide till I die, but I will refuse to be, I have my Bama goggles on when we in matchups and I don't see certain things like this Auburn game. I just felt like if we would have came out and played a clean game, we beat them 55-13. We should have been up 21-0 in the first quarter, honestly. So, that to me, that wasn't Bama goggles. That was me evaluating how we played coming into that game, not considering even the Chattanooga game. I'm talking about against other similar opponents. But this game, we have not seen a complete team like Georgia this whole season. Texas was probably the closest thing, and they caught us while we were green. And to play them as close as we did is what gives me confidence that this game can go either way. Because this Georgia team, if they would have saw Texas in week 2, I don't think Georgia
losing that game either.
They're not losing that game. You think they lose?
They almost lost to South Carolina.
I don't know, man.
And they got destroyed in the first half. That Texas team that's walking.
Oh yeah, week 2. I can see that now. Mm-hmm. You have the hot Queen Ewers, no film. Yeah, I'm forgetting all those factors. Yeah,
all that pre-snap, pre-snap motion, and then the receivers on the outside.
And not to mention, we talked about this earlier. Lassiter, he hasn't been the best corner. Xavier Worthy and Lassiter is a matchup. How does Kirby scheme that up? I just think this game is the perfect storm for both teams. It's the perfect matchup for ratings. If you're a true fan of college football, if you love good games, this is the game you want to see at the end of the day. So my prediction, if I'm gonna have to go with a final prediction tonight, I say Alabama 38, Georgia 33. And I'm gonna say 33 because there's going to be some type of weird play that happens, and I feel this is the type of game where Alabama produces that play. And 33 is a weird number. Everybody's like, how you get 33? I think Georgia's going to rely on their kicking game. I don't think Kirby's going to take too many chances on 4th and short in the plus side. I think he's going to live with his field goals. I think y'all kicker's kind of shaky. I don't see Will Riker missing in Mercedes. He hasn't missed in the dome. All 5 of his years, he's perfect in the dome. Whether it was the Georgia Dome or the Mercedes-Benz Dome, he's 100%. And I'm pretty sure the story come out about that before Saturday. But he's 100% in the dome. Everybody knows Atlanta's kind of like Alabama's second home. You know, they call it East Tuscaloosa for a reason. You know, so
Like a
I'm
2-hour
confident.
drive.
You know what I'm
Two,
saying?
3-hour drive. Yeah, it's short.
I mean, and Athens is right up the street. You know, y'all show up heavy. I remember going to that game in 2018. I will say this: Georgia fans know how to tailgate, brother. If you can ever,
I was
bruh,
there. I was at that game. Man, I
oh
had so
my
much free
God,
food. I
man,
had so
yeah,
much free food,
Georgia,
man. Barbecue ribs.
Georgia, y'all know how to tailgate, man. Y'all bring out the vehicles. Y'all got a good mixture in y'all fan base of country boys, country girls, and then your city boys, suburb boys and girls. Like y'all got a good
So,
mixture of culture in the Georgia fan base. We don't get too much of that from Alabama. It's all
mhm.
barbecue. You know, ain't no Cajun food coming to a Bama tailgate. So but yeah, y'all do know how to have fun. And I did see Georgia Alabama fan bases intermingling. It's a lot of competitive, respectful trash talk amongst the fans, and it's always in good fun because you have quality football, quality coaching, quality players on both sides. Throw the shade all you want, but when it's all said and done in the nitty gritty, them are the best matchups you've seen in the past 10 years. You know, since Kirby got to Georgia, Bama Georgia is the best matchup you're going to see in college football. And it's not even close. Not even close. Every matchup has been a great one. It's been a shocker how it's ended. Even when we came in and beat them in the SEC championship in 21. 21. So yeah, I'm excited. So that's my early prediction. 38-33 Bama. Might be different on the show later this week, but yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man. So with that being said, man, once again, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Coach Jay, tell the people where they can find you, man, and how they can keep up with your content, bro. You've been going crazy over there watching these Bills games. I finally got in to catch a live one the other night while I was riding, but go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, bro.
Man, Gent716 on Twitter, Gent Sports on YouTube. If you want to see me go crazy and me rant, like I said, Coach Blue, he finally saw me. Coach Sean, he's been seeing a couple videos, man. So I don't play around with that, man, including Alabama content. I've been slacking on that, so I got to catch up and do some videos, talk about some Bama content, just overall college football content over there. And then of course Mondays, Wednesdays, and then mostly post game shows. Which normally is around Saturday. Catch me on here on Bama Insider. Georgia fans, I see there's a lot of you guys in here. Catch us on Wednesday too. Wednesday around the same time we'll be on. Hopefully Coach Sean will be here, and we can get and talk more. We'll be talking way more college football, and of course getting to talk way more about Alabama, Georgia.
Facts. And you all know y'all can find me at Coach Smook on every platform. Y'all will be able to see me here on this platform again on Wednesday night, like you just said. Bleacher Report. Check me out on Bleacher Report. I'll be on Bleacher Report. Is that Thursday? I can't remember what days, guys. Check me out on Bleacher Report though. Anytime you see an Alabama notification come up on Wednesday or Thursday, is me, Coach Smook, doing the Bleacher Report, reacting to college football rankings. Something that's going to be hype again this week. Iron Bowl weekend. I did my live game preview, live game simulation on NCAA revamp of the Iron Bowl, and man, the turnout was crazy. I think we ended up with over 1K viewers at total for throughout the whole show. It was definitely a fun time having former Alabama DB Daquan Menzie was on, and national champion DB, I should say, Daquan Menzie from 2011, and then Chris Owens, former Alabama offensive lineman, national champ from 17 and 20, SEC champ. 5-time SEC champ, I believe that was. They had that little run, or 4-time. I can't remember. It was 4 or 5 in this time. But had those guys live on the set with me, in the booth. They were commenting, giving their experiences about their Iron Bowl experiences, and weighing in on play. And the game was intense. It was fun. Y'all can go to my YouTube channel and see some of the clips this week of all the live game simulations. I got an editor working on that type of stuff. But definitely follow on all platforms, guys. Stay connected. Continue to support. We definitely appreciate it. And as always, at the end of the shows, y'all know we like to run down the super chats. Let's start from the top, man. Duke to go with the $2 super chat. Jimmy Clay, we appreciate you. Duke to go 2020. The $2. Jimmy Clay with the $10. Javian Smith with the $5. We have Ray Palm with the $5, the $2, the $5. And I think Ray had, okay, that's the only two he had. David Kendall came in with the $2 super chat. The Inquisitive Prince, longtime viewer, always coming through with some great content, not content, but curveballs, throwing them at us, giving us some great insight or some questions to answer. Appreciate that. And Wookie Gremlin, one of my guys, man, he been popping up on a lot of my socials. I appreciate you for the support, man. And staying active. Also, Coach Jay, Coach Sean, and a few other Alabama content creators. We are in on my Discord. We're looking for people to come in and moderate, because a lot of times during the game, I know I'm typing a lot, but I'm paying attention and trying to write down stats. And we need moderators to kind of moderate. We haven't had any issues in our server yet, so that's a good thing. We actually had 37 people active in the server this weekend, which is a big bump from last weekend, which was like 10. We had like 10 or 12 people active, right? So
we had I think 15 or 16, somewhere on that number.
Yes,
we had a lot of people in there though, even before that.
So if you all are interested in joining that Discord server, man, I'm going to continue to post as long as Kyle says we can post it. I'm gonna continue to post it, because it is a good time, man. It's not one of those active ones where we just talking crazy about Alabama football, posting random comments all week. You'll be in there talking by yourself. But Saturday, about 15-20 minutes before kickoff, it gets crazy. And probably after the second drive, it gets really active. And man, it's a good time. It's a good time. Everybody's fandom shows up when that kickoff happens. The fan in me comes out. I'm no longer Coach Smook in the chat. I'm a fan. So I'm one of those ones I'm the fight to the end. And Coach Jay is like, nah, bro, this ain't looking good, bro. This ain't looking good. And I'm at his neck, he at my neck. And then, we'll get quiet for a minute. Bad play happened. We both saying, man, it's too late in the game for this not to be happening. Now you're nervous. Yeah, so it's fun, man. The energy in there is always up. And that's all, because of you all coming in and showing love. So that's the link I just posted with the Bama football on YouTube. And yeah, definitely pull up in there, man, and make sure there are rules. Make sure you come in respectful. We can have a difference of opinion. You won't get blocked for having a negative outlook or anything, but we don't do spam and we don't do hate speech, all things of that nature. You will catch a joke every now and then, but it's all out of love and fun. And yeah, man, don't forget to continue to check out the man himself, Kyle Henderson, the reason why this channel even exists today. Don't forget to check out his show and all the content that he's putting out every day, the live call-ins. I plan on calling in Thursday and having some dialogue with him. So definitely tune in. Every day this week is going to be some type of Alabama content, and all your up-to-date news, interviews, player interviews, all that stuff. You can get it here on Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. It's been a great night. It's been fun. I'm your boy, Coach Smook.
Coach Jay.
And we are out, man. It's the coaches. Roll Tide, baby.
Roll Tide. Now we got for the spin.